down the stretch. But I didn't realize this too. So like he was a first round pick, common story, 38th overall pick to the Astros in 2008. He made his major league debut at age 20 in 2011 and has pretty much been in the majors since. So like he's been in the majors. This will be his 9th season, but he's only 28. Like it's kind of different.
Well,
so,
I mean, it, like you said, it's kind of like the MO. It's like a guy who had talent. You know, he wouldn't have been drafted in the first round in the major leagues in 20 if he didn't have talent.
Right.
It just never really panned out. So here's Uncle Ray coming to do his magic.
Right. And like you said, I think he's already, I mean, you've dove into some of the usage of his pitches and everything of last year. And, I think some of that has already maybe started to take place.
I think so.
So maybe the Pirates have, identified that and, they're going to take a shot on Lyles at this point. And, I don't think Lyles is a straight replacement for Nova in the starting rotation. We don't know. Lyles really, he started 8 games for the Padres, but he pitched 24 total. So he pitched a lot out of the bullpen, and then he pitched all out of the bullpen for the Brewers. So he hasn't started consistently since 2015, and that was back when he was in Coors. So I think he's more of a multi-inning bullpen guy, but
that's exactly how I see him.
Right.
That's the thing. Like we've said, the Edwin Diaz was a pipe dream, but like it was a lovely one. And it was the one that made sense, because he is that good. But you don't necessarily need that type of pitcher in this bullpen. Like this bullpen is legit. So to have someone like Jordan Lyles for $2.05 million, I'm gonna make a comparison here. I brought up a little bit before, but anyways, for that amount of money, what he presents, I mean, when he was regulated to the bullpen last year, Ryan, as you mentioned, I mean, he pitched a total of 40.2 innings. And in that time, as a reliever, he had a 3.32 ERA, which equated to a 3.11 FIP, right? So, I mean, no, that's not like Vasquez numbers, but that's better than what we had, and this was a good bullpen. That's not... I mean, I'll take that, from like you're saying, like multiple innings, like that's really good, and the 26% K rate, basically 10% walk rate, and this guy's throwing strikes, striking people out, 200 batting average against, people aren't really hitting off of him. And as you mentioned, like he kind of already figured something out on his own last year, which also is funny because as he was doing it, the Pirates were trying to do it as well. And I mean, this was a guy who had a really heavy sinker usage. More or less, like for his career, I think it was like 28% he threw it. Last year it went down to 12.9%. I mean, he virtually cut it in half. But in exchange, he ticked up the change up, and then really ticked up the curveball. Threw the curveball, more or less swapped it, and threw that at 28.7%, Ryan. And this was a pretty nasty curveball. His whiff rate was 29.2%. Guys weren't really connecting with it. As a matter of fact, they were hitting 210 off of it. So, like he really identified his weakness. He started using another pitch, and it really became like a weapon for him. And again, like, is that not what we've seen with a lot of pitchers this year from the Pirates? I mean, we're talking about the sinker, right? That's like the Pirates' MO.
It's a very good sign to see like stuff like that. And then you see the numbers, and it makes sense. I mean, he gave up 6.6 hits per 9 with the Brewers, struck out 12 per 9 basically. And, I like at the point of, he's been pitching since age 20. Like, it's almost like, I mean, he's 8 years in the majors. He's almost like a vet, but he's still, 2 years under 30. So, like, he's not, I don't think, washed up by any means. And he's kind of gotten better as his career gone on. Also, it seems like he's always, his FIP is always lower than, like, by a significant amount than his actual ERA. So, he had, and even in Milwaukee, he had a 2.49 FIP and a 3.31 ERA. So, yeah, I mean, the Pirates pick him up. Look, it's not the sexy, name out of the bullpen or something like that, but it's, for everything we say about Huntington and the Pirates and they're cheap and this and that, one thing that Huntington has done a great job of has been finding, basically hidden talent out of, not the household names in the bullpen. They bring in a guy, and, whether it's Searage, whether it's the front office and everybody, but they identify these guys, they bring them in. And I mean, look at Cal Crick, what he's done. Look at Rich Rod, who was basically picked up off the scrap heap from the Orioles.
Right. Look at these entire, bullpen, like you mentioned.
Basically, the whole bullpen. Yeah.
Every single one but Kella. Like that is his MO. So I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, because Vasquez was, even when they got him, nobody knew who Vasquez was. He wasn't supposed to. I don't think the Nationals thought he was, what he was going to end up being here. So I keep saying, I said it right. I thought I said Rivero. I said Vasquez.
Although MLB does that still. I don't know if you saw the interview. I forget who it was.
No, did they?
But they were talking about, Felipe Rivero.
It's tough. It's a tough turnaround. It's like calling I still call the Chargers San Diego, so I probably will forever.
You understand me? When y'all saying my name, put some respect on
move by them. But anyway, yeah, like Huntington, they seem to find they always seem to put together a bullpen, and they find these guys that really aren't on other teams' radars. And Lyles hopefully will be the next one in that. Even look back for Nicasio when they signed Nicasio. Yeah, he ended up starting that year because he didn't give up a run in spring training, basically. But he wasn't slated for that. And then when they moved him to the bullpen, he was really good and still is, Donardo. So, they definitely have done very well with that. And let's hope this one is. But I like it that they picked up another basically multi-inning guy.
Right.
And
so I think it goes if you're saying if it ends up being Kingham and Lyles, the bullpen per se.
Yeah.
I think I'm down with that. Because we see what Lyles can do, as a reliever type. So maybe it presents that, and then you have Kingham in there as well, and kind of limit him, and then you get to the bullpen. So that could be it. But yeah, I look at the excuse me, I look at the Lyles as a very crafty deal, and I did make this comparison, and the reason I did it was for two reasons. For one, just to kind of point out, this has been Neil Huntington's MO, finding these relievers that no one's looking at, get them a real crafty deal, and they end up, producing. But also, how much, recency bias plays into free agency. And the comparison was Lyles and Joe Kelly, because Joe Kelly just signed, as we already said, Lyles, a 1 year, $2.05 million deal. Joe Kelly's got a 3 year, $25 million deal, and it's basically just because of the playoff run he had. Which, sure, it was definitely incredible. It was a really good playoff run, but also was just a playoff run. What about his entire career? What about the whole season he had last year? So the numbers I just ran about Lyles, right? The 3.32 ERA, 3.11 FIP. When you look at Joe Kelly last year, he had a 4.39 ERA, Ryan, a 3.57 FIP. He struck out less, he walked more. The people had a higher batting average, and this guy just had 3 years, $25 million. And I'm not saying Jordan Lyles is going to be the better pitcher than Joe Kelly this year, but I wouldn't be shocked. And if they're about the same, you just got him for $23 million less.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm cool with it.
It's not a bad thing,
right? It's not a bad thing. So now they can use that other $23 million to go after somebody else to help up. Not that they're going to spend $23 million, but that's what I'm getting at. They found value here,
they
so
got to work
can
on the
just go and
slopes at
attack somebody else. Exactly.
Well, you mentioned, so you compare Lyles to Kelly. How about let's just compare Lyles' numbers last year to Nova's? Straight up. Now, Nova obviously pitched 100 innings more, basically. Well, actually, no, it was about 87 to 161. So he pitched double the innings that Lyles pitched, but 4.19 ERA, and he had a 4.57 FIP for Nova. Well, Lyles had total for the year 4.11 and 4.08 FIP. So, and he struck out more, walked 2.9, so he doesn't really have a crazy walk problem. So it's a lot of Lyles basically, if anything, had the same numbers of Nova, if not better. Another thing with Lyles, he for his career, he struck out 6.4 per 9, which, that's like Nova level. Mm-hmm. But the last 2 years, it's actually been rising. 7.1, 6.4, 8.6, 7.8, and then the 12.1 with the Brewers.
And then especially
so it's actually rising.
Now,
so
the bullpen, it's really increased.
Right. It's looking at the numbers. It seems to be there is a change going on there with him. And you mentioned the usage. That he's changed up, throwing the curveball more and everything. And I'm sure the Pirates will hopefully, keep up with that and basically have him pitch to his strength and throw his best pitches. But there is an uptick in that strikeout per 9, which is a good sign. And he didn't give up a home run in 16 innings in Milwaukee. So who knows? Miller Park too. There's a lot of home runs. I don't know how many of those were at home, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and I'm going to give. Everyone freaks out. Oh, they got Jordan Lyles. Like this isn't surprising that the Pirates didn't go out and get, Patrick Corbin, who signed with the Nationals for a ridiculous deal. But they're going to try to find these guys that they think are undervalued, basically, and other teams are overlooking them, and they're going to try to make something of them. And
which is good. I mean, that's what you need to do. Everyone's trying to find that edge. It's not just the Pirates, it's the Yankees and the Dodgers and Red Sox. I mean, everyone's trying to find that.
I mean, the Dodgers signed Max Muncy. Now, I don't think they thought that they had a 35 home run guy in AAA to start the year, but they signed him, and look, they hit on him. But there you go,
right?
So
the cheap Dodgers, Max Muncy, picking him off the scraps, right?
But I like that they seem to be stockpiling these multiple inning reliever starter types, and that, as far as from what we've been saying for a while, is a good sign that we want to see. It's got to start changing the thought process. Like when you think of a starter, starters aren't going 7 innings, every 5th day out. It's just not happening anymore. Especially in the playoffs, it's less and less, if anything. But 5-6 innings. I mean, if Lyles gives you 4 and then Kingham gives you 4 or 3 for one of them, I mean, they could do that for every 5th day and probably get away with it. So I'd like to see it because we talk about this, Donardo, being think outside the box, getting creative. When we look at the Pirates trying to compete against the rest of the National League and the rest of baseball, and even in the NL Central, the Pirates aren't going to be able to compete with these teams, with these big markets, thinking inside the box. Like, just go out and spend money, pick up these big free agents, sign the best players, don't sign the worst players, whatever. The Pirates aren't going to be able to go compete with these teams in free agency.
Most small markets are not. I mean, point blank, period.
And probably even not in the trade market because you have to keep those prospects. So you just have a core, every couple of years. You have a new core coming around that can help replenish the system and keep it going. So you really even can't compete on that. So where the Pirates have to compete, in my opinion, is they have to go outside the box and think outside the box and outthink these teams and find advantages elsewhere. And I think doing something with, hopefully, I don't know, the 5th Sparta spotter every 5th day, or maybe, just do something with the opener or piggyback it and change it up. I think it could be something where it could be a big advantage.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And that's what I'm getting at. I mean, the Pirates were very creative back in the day. Look at the shifts. Look what they did. I mean, they taught pitching to contact, and having the shift there. And that's how we're going to better our pitchers, and that's where it was really good. Now, that's old data now. That's old age. And they haven't really caught up with the times now. So, like, it's nice to see them adapting a bit more. We saw it last year with the pitch usage. Pitch usage.
It's that Newcastle
and now we're
disease
possibly it's a Newcastle disease, and now we're possibly seeing it with the opener. So at least they're catching up to some stuff now. But here's something I want to get to, Ryan. Okay, so we talked about the moves. All right, and like I said, each move that we've made this year, just based on the move in the vacuum, just by the move, I've liked the Chisenhall deal. It's not expensive. It can add some real value with there. I like the Eric Gonzalez deal because of the 2 people we gave up. It could bite the Pirates later on, but for what it is, it's okay. I love the Nova deal. I do like the Lyles deal, but I think, again, what's most important is what comes next. And for everyone out there saying that, it's the same old Pirates, all they're doing is trying to dump salary, just get cheaper. I mean, there is that payroll, right? But I do want to say this just can't happen, right? Like, so if the end of the offseason happens, right, and like you have Eric Gonzalez there and you have Kingham as your 5th pitcher and such, right, why make the Archer move? So I'm going to get a little bit into this. Like I said, I don't, and that's not us, that's not our MO. Like, we're not going to overreact on this. There's still a lot of offseason, but I do just want to talk. Because this is why I don't believe this is like the MO. Because why even make the Archer deal if you head into this offseason trying to do the same things you've done before? Because it doesn't make any sense. Like, if this was going to be your offseason MO, right? Why not have Glasnow and Meadows? Like, you could trade Dickerson, and you have Meadows there. And you already have Glasnow, so you can trade Nova still. Like, you still have a 5-man rotation. Then you still have a full outfield.
I think with Glasnow, I think they were just They were just done. And they saw an opportunity to